All right. So my business is the Psychedelic Circus, and we go by TPC to keep it short because that gets to be a bit of a mouthful. So TPC is a YouTube channel that is based on mostly balloons and inflatables, but we do other kinds of performance stuff too. Let's see here. There we go. So currently we are operating as a sole proprietorship, and we're not really looking to change that anytime soon. I don't want a bunch of complication in my business. If I do change things, it'll be an LLC, but for the moment, we're just going to keep this going as it is, because the mission is just to help people restore the spirit of their inner child by sharing joy, encouraging fun, and cultivating a sense of belonging through a common passion for balloons, inflatables, and community. Mostly, we are providing visual and auditory entertainment services surrounding the balloons and inflatables, but we also focus on ASMR, autonomous sensory meridian response stimulation, because that also hits a lot of our target markets, and conversational live broadcasts, book readings, original poetry, and nature content, animals, stuff like that. Let me see. So speaking of target markets, mostly we're focusing on the neurodivergent community. I'm autistic and I also have ADHD. So I accidentally found myself in the balloon and inflatable circuit, and I haven't gotten out since because it seems like a big part of the base of enthusiasts are actually neurodivergent, and I'm finding that it definitely has a lot to do with the stimulation, and there's a calming factor, and a lot of people just feel really weird about it. They're like, oh my god, but this was on some weird TV show and they were making fun of this guy because he loved balloons. And the thing is that guy too was probably autistic, most likely. From what I've gathered, from what I can pick up, he was probably autistic. And the problem is that a lot of people also living with trauma find balloons and inflatables to be very soothing and relaxing, but they also feel very stigmatized over it, like it makes them feel like they're weird because people will make fun of them for it. And so I want to try and just normalize the whole thing and make it less weird, because it's not any more weird than people liking golf or football or any number of other things in this world that people seem to enjoy for some reason, like running. I don't run, but people enjoy running marathons for some reason. So good for them, you know, but I'm going to try and normalize the balloon and inflatables circuit because it actually is a great coping skill for people for a lot of reasons. This is my cat. She's going to be in every PowerPoint presentation I ever do. All right, so some of the advantages that we have as a business can be seen in the production style and content choices, because we're able to cross a lot of international markets, because balloons, inflatables, and a lot of these kind of stimulatory things for the brain, you don't need to talk. It doesn't need to come through language necessarily. So you're able to cross all kinds of language and cultural barriers, economic barriers, because no matter who you are, I mean, I've made friends with people that live in some one-room place in India and they love balloons too, and we've become friends through that, and it's just interesting how so many people in so many different circumstances because they're accessible, because balloons are accessible all over the world, and they're very affordable, so people can engage in this kind of passion no matter where you are, no matter what your age is, it doesn't matter. So we really want to try and focus on relatability. Enthusiasm in the balloon circuit is spoken of where it's the enthusiasm you have for working with balloons. That'll really make or break you if you're enthusiastic or not. So we're just going to keep our friendly, welcoming atmosphere and try and keep it friendly, because that's what people are really wanting, is to connect with people. When it comes to competition, it's good, mostly because even though some of these other channels, such as Balloon Pop, Boom, Slime 7474, and Vippy Balloon Show, all of those have really large followings. Some of them have over millions of followers. But the thing that I've noticed is a lot of these channels really miss the mark when it comes to connecting with their audiences, and I think that that's what a lot of the target markets are really looking for, since a lot of them are neurodivergent and a lot of them do not feel like they can connect with people. You're really missing something when you don't take the time to try and connect with people. So we also have similar creators on TikTok, Instagram, other social media sharing platforms. Some of our other competition would be carnivals, arcades, movie theaters, and other experience-focused attractions like Meow Wolf, Omega Mart, Disney. I mean, obviously people are going to still go to these kinds of things, but at the same time, not everybody can afford to go and do these kinds of things, or people have social anxiety, or a number of reasons. So I feel like we are sharing a good situation to be able to compete in that way, as well as with streaming services, video games, party stores, because we'd like to start selling, reselling inflatables and selling our own balloons at some point, as well as some other merchandise. So, as for the marketing and sales strategy, here's one idea. Writing on logs, that would fall under creative offline measures. But for the rest of it, we've got flyers, posters, business cards, that's a little more traditional. I would like to start doing some mailing lists. Festival booths is something that I'm also really considering. So events like Pride. So I would love to do a booth at Pride because I feel like that would actually be a good place to be. Or for the NAMI Walk, for the National Association for Mental Illness. Because it has a lot to do with mental health, because mental health advocacy is a big part of what we're doing here. So I feel like festival booths are going to be a really great way to get the word out and to start raising some of the funds that we're going to need if we want to actually make this a real business. When I say we, I mean we. Me, because I'm doing everything. Management, that's me. I'm doing all of it because asking people to do other stuff when it comes to balloons and inflatables is your YouTube channel. Anyways, it's all to come down to me, because what am I going to do? Can you please do this? Can I have you engage in this weird thing that I'm doing, this project? And I'm not going to ask anybody for that help. I have social anxiety. That's why we're here. This is how this happened in the first place. So all of the roles are going to keep being filled by me. Future products will be manufactured and shipped by a print-on-demand service. I'm not going to be handling the manufacture of like coffee mugs or printing balloons, because that's going to be a lot of work, and I just want to be able to make some general merchandise. But I have done some research to find some businesses that are more ethical than others, because I want to try and work with businesses to focus on sustainability and don't just make a bunch of crap.
So is that what you're essentially going to be doing, is having like balloon kits sent to these people, or
no,
instructional video, or?
Well, no, it's mostly just entertainment. I mean, it's entertainment and community. People like the sound of the balloons. They enjoy being able to watch and see the balloons from the outside. But also selling balloons, like limited edition ones, like limited edition prints and stuff, because people collect them. So selling some, I'm considering coming up with a print that will be one that will keep on board long term, but then doing some limited edition.
And one more question, sorry,
yeah,
not to pick you apart, but like, where does the psychedelic part fall in?
It's like, so basically because of the whole path that's brought me here, part of what got me out of the whole PTSD pit hole that I was in. Anyways, long story short, I was in hospitals for a lot, and then I ended up, mushrooms ended up getting me out of it. But because also psychedelic art is a really big thing,
just be promoting
so
that.
I feel like, I feel like it does open up some, for instance, my grandma asked me when I went to go visit my parents last time, oh, what made you start talking to your parents again after not talking to them forever? I'm like, well, I spent a whole winter on magic mushrooms, and she's just like, oh, well, if that worked. So it opens up a conversation again with mental health, how there are different ways to deal with PTSD, especially severe complex trauma. So yeah, I felt like, especially considering that psychedelia is an actual art style that really fits my vibe anyways, it kind of made sense, and it does open up some questions, which is exactly why I named it that. Because that's a hill I'm willing to die on. But when funds allow, which might take a year or two, I'd like to hire a social media manager. Yeah, a video editor and a bookkeeper, because I hate doing my own social media management. I'm gonna grab some of my water here. But I hate doing my own social media management. It's very annoying, and I actually hate staring at my phone all day. It's really bad for my brain. And the video editing isn't my favorite thing to do. It's the ADHD. I find it very boring and tedious. And the bookkeeping is just going to be tedious. I can do the full accounting stuff at the end. Like, I can do the real work and make sure and double check that everyone's doing everything right, because I'm a bit of a control freak with my stuff that way. I'm like, don't mess up my stuff. But with a bookkeeper, I would like someone else to help keep track of things. So for financials, for the moment, we have a bit of current inventory overstock. I had a PO box going for a minute, and right before my life kind of blew up temporarily for the 20 billionth time, I ended up having a bunch of viewers sending me a ton of balloons and some inflatables as well. So right now that will reduce expenses for the year, and a new PO box is going to be established once I move down to Florida. And that will allow viewers to continue sending balloons and inflatables, as well as any other donations that they feel like they would like to include, which has happened before, because people like sending mail, because it's the connection factor when you actually try and make a real effort to connect with these people, and when you actually, you know, remember them, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember you, you've been following me for like 5 years, like, you know, when you actually remember these things and care, it makes a big difference. So right now, expenses are very reduced for the rest of the year, really. The revenue is fairly consistent. It's not super high, but I've been very busy, so I haven't had a lot of energy to be putting into my channel for the moment. But it's been steady, like about 40, 50 bucks a month for the last few months. So that's been really nice. As long as I'm putting up a couple videos, like at least one video a week or every other week or something, it's seeming to remain fairly consistent. And that's going to help just keep the continued growth going, because as the channel grows, we just hit over 6,070 subscribers. So once it hits that 10,000, it's going to start really making rounds around the algorithm a little bit more, and that's going to help. So right now, where the revenue is not a problem, it's okay if it's only around 50, because once it kind of starts boosting up with the viewership a little more, then we're golden. We've just continued to grow. We haven't really had any problems with that.
Okay, I think we should, I hate to cut you off,
Oh, yeah.
but I think we should start our night.
All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it, is that this is the conclusion anyways, is that we're excited for the future, and pretty much that's about it there. That's my cat. And for financials, oh yeah.
Yes, the whole concept.
Yeah, for financials, we're really looking at for the initial money that we'll need in for startup. It'll be combined about $8,000. So honestly, I think that that's pretty doable. It might just take a couple years, but alrighty.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, that's my cat with a piece of art.